Joe Rogan recently came to Austin, Texas, and I took the opportunity to go see my old friend. And of the dozens and dozens of interviews I've done with Joe, this one is hands down the best. So here it is, my backstage interview with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, my old friend. Here you are in Austin at the W, at the Moody, big packed house. You're about to go out there in 15 minutes. To you, what is the nature of reality in your core spirit, whatever you want to call it? What is the nature of being on this planet in deep space, orbiting the sun, this magic all around us, and we're busy worrying about how many liters of vodka Lindsay Lohan had?
First of all, give me a hug, you big beautiful bastard. You're awesome, man. Good to see you.
I miss you. So good to see you.
I miss you too, man. Yeah, we see each other once a year, and I think you're one of the most misunderstood people on the planet. And I'm glad we're friends, and I'm glad we've been friends for so long. You're an interesting dude, Alex, and you're a real truth seeker. You know, there's a lot of people that don't appreciate you for what you do, and appreciate, like, a lot of people don't get to know you. Like, you're a fucking cool guy. You're a really nice guy to hang around. We've taken Alex to the UFC before. We've done so many comedy shows with you at Cap City and hung out with you. You're a good dude, man.
At its core, I was thinking about this yesterday. What I do, what you do, what a few others do, I think it's that we are real, and that's what people are so desperate for.
Yeah, right or wrong, I'm real as I can be. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I didn't think I was wrong. I'll tell you if I'm wrong. But I'm going to be as honest about this whole thing as I possibly can. And I think we owe each other that. And I think the idea that we don't, and that we shouldn't think that deeply, or we shouldn't uncover problems and issues, and we should just go about our lives, I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense mathematically. It doesn't make sense logically. I think we, as a species, owe it to ourselves to be honest with ourselves. That's the best benefit that we get from being around other people, is to understand the real information as they see it. And you can process that any way you like. You can look at it and put it through the filter of ego and personal circumstance and all sorts of things that make people have opinions that are biased in one way or another, whether it's a liberal or a Republican. But when you get past all that, if you really get to see how a person is thinking when they're honest. And when they're not, you don't really know who you're talking to. You're dealing in this fantasy world of You're dealing in this world where someone's pretending to be something because it looks like that looks best on the numbers. You know, like they've looked at like some sheets and say they prefer Christian, nothing Mormon or anything crazy like that. This is what people prefer, so let's go Christian. They prefer a person who wears a tie and a suit all the time, so let's dress in the appropriate manner. And they sort of slowly but surely segment themselves into this ridiculous population of pretenders.
So a world of people in entropy making the, quote, safe bet, but then when everybody does that, the Titanic basically goes down.
I don't think you can have a safe bet anymore. I think it's fake, and I think that way of talking is annoying to people, and I think we've only accepted it because we've had to. And I think now that it's 2012 and we have the kind of access to information, the raw information, not sanctioned by CNN or sanctioned by Fox News or the raw. You get it from people on cell phones in Bahrain, and
the era of the gatekeepers over.
I think that model doesn't work with the access to information that we have today.
Everybody says mainline television and media is dead, but I heard you say it 15 years ago, before I even met you a year or so later, when you came to visit Austin. I mean, how did you see it so far out?
Well, it wasn't just me, man. It was like that song, that Don Henley song. Is it Don Henley or Glenn Frey? Who has that song? Dirty Laundry?
Oh yeah.
It's not an Eagles song, is it? Who is?
No, I think that's the first guy.
Yeah, Don Henley,
Kick them all
right?
up,
yeah,
all down.
It's Don Henley, right? Is that
yeah.
who? Anyway, the guys from the Eagles. That Dirty Laundry song, man. That was in like the '80s or something,
yes.
Wasn't it? Beautiful song, but it's so just right. It's a show. The problem with making the news a show is you know, like I was watching this Fox News thing. We were just talking about it, where the Fox News people had to like laugh and joke about being upset about Obama losing. They were like, huh, you know, maybe can they ask them if they would take Obama with them as well? I don't think they would do that. So it's like this like really joke, but it's really what it is like this sanctioned opinion that we're upset that we lost, that we're you know, it's almost like you're ragging on a rival football team.
It's like WWF wrestling. It's all fake.
It's,
so shifting outside of that, you talk a lot about the nature of reality. The nature of reality, Joe. What is it at your core when you wake up at 4 a.m. in a hot sweat? What do you see out there?
See, that's the thing. There's no answer to that. It's too confusing. You could take a position if you wanted to, but there's no real answer to it.
We're a manifestation of the consciousness of the universe.
What we are is what we are, and I don't understand it. And to try to box it up and either limit it or be overindulgent in my appreciation of it, or whatever it is, it is. And there's some real rules to this thing, whatever the hell it is. And one of them that seems to make sense is that you got to be nice to people, and you got to enjoy this thing, and you got to spread as much fun and happiness as you can. And if you can do that, you're like a generator of happy feelings, and people want to feel happy. Like you literally can generate like a whirlwind of happy feelings. You can make happy communities. You can make happy connections between other people. And one of the best ways of doing it is to give them your real feelings about things, and to give them, you know, stand-up comedy, and to give them podcasts.
So what the universe wants is reality.
Well, this is my reality. This is all I can comment on. And my own physical, personal reality.
Instead of somebody else's. And that's the key.
Well, you can get defined easily by other people's perceptions of you. My whole life, I was convinced, when I was a young man, I was convinced I was a loser. Absolutely convinced. Until I started getting really good at martial arts, I never thought I was good at anything. I just had a very low self-esteem. And I was limiting myself by what I thought were other people's opinions of me. This is when I was a really young kid, and I didn't figure this out until I was like in my 30s. But I think that you absolutely can be limited by your perceptions of someone's definitions of you. But you can break through that stuff. That's what you break through with discipline. That's where you break through with hard work and concentration and focus. And that's why it's so important to have like either a discipline or an art or something that you're trying to create or something that you're really focusing on. Because if you don't have like a point of focus as a human, I think it's very hard to get through this life and have an appreciation for true struggle. Because our physical struggle with what our bodies are designed for, the caveman of 10,000 plus years ago, our bodies are still designed for that. That physical struggle doesn't really manifest itself when you're sitting in front of a cubicle, you know, in front of a computer in a cubicle, in this unnatural position all day. I think the whole situation is very confusing for the human body, and we don't get the tests that we need in order to have what you would call personal sovereignty. So you got to impose those tests on yourself.
Just be real, and that's all you can do.
That is all you can do. But my confidence is not real. Like, I'm not a confident person. I'm an honest person, but I'm as terrified about possibilities as anybody. I mean, anybody who's ever seen me like look at videos of animal attacks and see how I cringe, and I am terrified of animals. You know, I see like wild animal attacks, and I hear about like that little baby that got dropped in the zoo in Philadelphia recently. Dogs. You know, I hear about that.
You're tied to your original.
Woo! Dude, animals scare the out of me. They scare the out of me. So I'm not like a confident person. I'm an honest person. But
I think honesty is confidence.
But I think a lot of our issues are social. And a lot of our issues, when you deal with confidence, a lot of it is the way people are with each other. And I think we don't understand when we're doing it that we're limiting people. but that you can really limit a person's potential by defining it for them at a young age.
And that's what the system does. They dumb everybody down. They try to limit potential. And for me, that's
it seems to be a human thing, though. It doesn't seem to be just a system. It seems to be almost just a human weakness, a lack of character and a lack of someone explaining to them or them experiencing where true happiness comes from, which is, it sounds like really hippie, but true happiness comes from making other people happy. True happiness comes from being around happy people and enjoying each other's company. That's really hard for people to wrap their heads around because they always associate true happiness. No, true happiness is with like titles, or numbers, or objects that you possess, or whatever it is.
How high you sit on the bird perch.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question then. Looking at this and where the whole world is going, what does your gut tell you about the future of humanity?
There's a lot of people who are pessimistic, and I'd say that's your own choice. Like, you could look at all the possibilities that could happen to us just naturally and really be terrified every day you got out of bed. If you stopped and thought about asteroids and super volcanoes and shifting of the polar ice caps and new ice age, and Jesus Christ, you could go into a coma just sitting and thinking of the possibilities of natural that can kill you. Earthquakes and hurricanes and tornadoes and tsunamis, and it never ends. It never ends. Literally, poison spiders. What the? There's so many different ways you could die, and I think that we have to be able to address that as human beings.
At your gut level, Joe, what do you think about the Bin Laden raid?
I don't know. First of all, I think that being in a position that I think whenever you talk about any intense military operation like that, those guys, those Navy SEALs that did that, those Navy SEALs?
Yes.
Those are some of the baddest on the planet. I mean, I have a lot of respect for someone's ability, fortitude, character, discipline, the type of discipline involved in being a Navy SEAL. I have a tremendous amount of respect for those type of human beings. But what I don't necessarily trust is the people that make the decisions that put these guys into certain positions. It's them that I trust implicitly. Like, I understand the kind of discipline that it takes to be elite at anything. And when you're an elite at something as life or death, as being a Navy SEAL, you're a bad period. So I don't ever want to say anything that's disrespectful to anybody that's in that position, because I respect their intentions 100%. But it sounds like a silly story. Like, everybody says this guy's been dead for a long time. They said that Bin Laden, I mean, I see all these different people who have said that Bin Laden had already been dead. I don't know. I wasn't there. I have no information other than some that I read in the newspaper or watch on TV.
But the official stories turn out to not be true. And
it seems like they lie about everything. We ready to do this? 7? What?
So
7 minutes?
Good.
7 minutes.
I actually talked. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but a guy is a Navy SEAL, been to his house, texted him. Yeah. Turned out, well, I'm going to give too much away. My family knows him. He's not in SEAL Team 6, but his buddies, one of the few that lived, they blew up a helicopter that night. They went in, killed the target, brought it out, blew the helicopter up, told the SEALs that was Bin Laden, the helicopters that got away. And then the other SEALs got mad, and they blew up. Remember the SEALs? SEAL Team 6, the helicopter blew up.